My name is Earl. I think everybody would know me by now from Draftworx. And just to introduce the VP Business Development from Circit, Jason. Jason, thank you so much for your time today to take us through Circit and show our users all the exciting items that we can expect. And I'm looking forward to the future. I'll hand over to you, Jason.
Brilliant. Thanks, El. And hello, everybody. Good to have the opportunity to present to you today. Like El said, Jason O'Shaughnessy, I'm the VP of Business Development for Circit in South Africa. We've been in South Africa now for just over 12 months, and we've brought to the market in South Africa and the rest of Africa our confirmation solution. And I'm going to run through that today in partnership with Draftworx. So you'll be pleased to know that you can see a slide on the screen, but it's just a couple of slides. So I absolutely won't bore you with death by PowerPoint. And then I'll go straight into the demonstration. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them during or after the demo. There's a chat option for you to ask me any questions, and I can stop and do those for you. So let me jump into the slides I've got here. I'm going to give you a quick overview of Circit, and then we're going to walk through the steps of, I'm then going to walk through the platform, and then you can ask me some questions afterwards. So Circit as a product, or Circit as an organization with our product, we started around 6 years ago. We built a solution specifically for confirmation requests. Our CEO and founder was working for a large firm and felt there was a much better way of supporting the confirmation process than the current methods that they were using at the time. He wanted to provide a platform that was significantly cheaper or lower in cost than the costs of confirmations in the marketplace then, and I suppose still now. And he also wanted to provide a platform that enabled auditors to be able to do all of their confirmation requests, regardless of the confirmation request type, and also regardless of whether, let's call them providers, so banks, debtors, solicitors, insurance, funds, asset management. He wanted to be able to let you send out requests, even if they weren't in the partner network that we have on our platform. So making it a truly encompassing confirmation tool for auditors. And with that in mind, if I look at the last 5-6 years that we've been in business, in all the marketplaces that we've entered and been in for at least 2-3 years, we've got a big percentage of that confirmation space. And it's been because audit firms have seen what we've got. They've liked it so much that they've changed from the tools that they currently use and are using in place. So what you're looking on the screen now is just a quick overview showing you some of the things that the confirmation tool will deliver you. So we're based in the cloud. There's nothing to download and store on your desktop. Obviously, if it's in the cloud, it has to be secure. We meet very high security standards. We have over 2,500 banks using us on our platform or available on our platform. And we have, many of the largest firms in the world using us, as well as many of the smaller firms in the world using us. Our network is growing, so we're constantly adding new providers onto the platform every day. Typically, the relationship with Draftworx is we're offering users the ability to utilize Circit for non-bank confirmation requests, but you can use us for bank confirmation requests as well. And as I go into the dashboard, I'll explain more about that. But what I'm going to walk you through today is I'm going to walk you through how you create a client. If you're using our dashboard, it's normally the first question that we get asked. Running through managing your portfolio before you're creating that request, getting a letter of authority into the system so that you can send off those confirmation requests, then actioning a confirmation request, and then the reporting around that. So questions will hold for after, but if I just move my screen over now. So now you'll be able to see the dashboard. This is the dashboard that auditors log into. You can see Jason, I work for Auditors Inc. When I come in the morning, I basically log into this dashboard via the browser. And you can see at a glance, as soon as I log in, I can see how many confirmation requests I've sent out. I've sent out 191 requests across 10 clients. And at any stage, I can see where there are. So I can see that out of those 191 requests, 46 are still with providers. So it could be banks, could be debtors, legal, and so on and so forth. I can see that 116 are complete. And I can see that there's 8 in exception. I can see there's 9 that are signed. That basically means that 9 clients have signed the letter of authority that will enable me to go out and send requests. And I can see that there's still with clients waiting to be signed. If I wanted to look at that with regards to bank specific, I can see there's 131 requests outstanding for bank. I can also see that there's 29 requests specifically outstanding for legal. And other would be insurance and debtors and so on and so forth. When I scroll down here, I can see this same information, but at the client level. So if you look at this client here, Coffee Time Inc., I can see that there's 37 requests outstanding with providers, and there's 105 requests that have been completed, and there's 8 that are in exception. So the same information here across all of the clients that I manage, I can see that information at the individual client level. If you had the right administration rights, I could, when I logged in, I can actually click on all entities and see the same information across all of the clients in the firm. So here now you can see that I'm looking at 408 requests have gone out across 42 entities. You also have the ability to, look at your clients by portfolios. And in this example, I've put clients in portfolios based on where they're located. In this case, Cape Town, also specific areas, so financial services, it could be mining. Here you can see here's Joburg, and then maybe even country. So you've got here Kenya. So there's just different ways of you being able to look at your clients. When you use the system, obviously you have to create a client. You would click on new entity. You put a client on here. I know, let's do test 1. That's the client. You put in a billing code. You put in their entity address. You can attach a logo if you wanted to. So when you're sending emails, you can send logos out. You would choose your period. So, you can put your end date, might be 31st of January. It obviously then creates the start date. You can add your collaborators. So these are the users at your client site that you're going to be communicating with and sending requests to. And then obviously you can add collaborators, which will be people inside your firm. So audit managers, partners who might need to sign everything off. So everyone's got different views. And then if I click save, that would basically generate a new client here on your dashboard. So it's very easy to add a new client. If we go into a client, so now I'm going to go into this particular client here, Coffee Time Inc. And if I go into Coffee Time Link, we talked about the first step in the process to send a confirmation request is to be able to upload or put into the system a letter of authority. And there's 2 ways of doing that. Obviously, I've got loads of letters of authority in here simply because this is my demo account. Typically for a client, you might only ever have 1. You might have a couple if it's different offices. But the 2 ways of putting the letter of authority into the system are as such. So you can upload a letter of authority if you have one already. So you could turn around and say, this is Coffee Time LOA. I want to call it that. Oops. You know that the finance director signed this. You know the finance director signed it, so I'll choose that. You know when the end date is, obviously 31st of May wouldn't be that end date, but I'll just put that in. And then I'd upload my letter of authority. And here I would take my LOA, upload it, click save, and my letter of authority would be in the system. If you do not have a letter of authority, which many of our customers using us are just starting to do, you simply come into the dashboard, you say, I need a general letter of authority or a specific bank one, if you're doing bank confirmations. You choose the signer, and in this case, the finance director signs off the LOA. You choose a validity period, so 1 year through to until it's revoked. In this example, let's put 1 year. You choose save, and now your general letter of authority is in draft. And if I clicked on that, clicked preview the doc, you can see it generates a template, and it's saying you want this LOA to last 1 year for Auditors Inc. And then basically your client needs to sign it. And so all I simply do is I click send to client, click send, and now that request has gone out to the client. And if I just put on, what will happen is, in fact, I'll show you what the client receives. So the client will receive an email from you. That email will have all of your branding on, and it will say, hey, there's a request for you to sign a letter of authority. Please log into your dashboard. And basically, they would log into a dashboard that looks like this. Obviously, they wouldn't have all of this here. A dashboard that looks like this is very easy for them to use. It's all been set up in the background for them. Here you can see this is the letter of authority that's been sent. And as you've just sent out to them, it came 0 minutes ago. I can obviously view that letter of authority. This was the letter of authority that we've just created. Now, every document that goes back and forth in the system creates a certificate of completion. So it shows you the complete audit trail of the communication back and forth, including the IP addresses timestamped. When I sign this as the client, that will now say signed. It will have my email address stamped and then my IP address. But as a client, I just simply look at that and go, great, I'll sign it and click sign. And for your client, they would have just had to upload a signature. It takes 30 seconds. It's very easy. But once I've done that, if I just refresh your screen and do letters of authority, here you go. Here's your letter of authority back from your client signed. You can see when you created it, when you sent it to the finance director at the audit, your client signed at Coffee Time Inc. You can see when they viewed it. You can see when they signed it. And then again, here is the signed letter of authority. Now you've got your letter of authority in the system, you can start doing confirmation requests. And once you click on confirmation requests, and don't forget, when you're in this whole area here, everything is for Coffee Time Inc., your client. And so when I come in, I can see all of the requests that I've sent. I can see how many are still with provider, there's 23, and how many is complete, and then how many where there's an exception going on. And just to let you know what that looks like, here's a request that I sent out earlier today. And you can see it says, if I clicked on auditors, this would show me the 2 where there's an exception. So this one we just highlighted shows you here. And you can see there's a little icon here with 1 on it that lets you know you need to do something. So this is basically where I've received something back from, in this example, it's ABSA. So again, it shows you when I created the request, when I attached the LOA, when I sent this to ABSA, and then it shows me when ABSA has raised the request. And this was the confirmation request I'd sent to ABSA. And it's keen to remember that when I sent the request to ABSA, let's find the right one, they would have received an email that looks like this. The bank confirmation request is always attached in the email. So if I double click on that, you can see, it has the branding on for the Auditors Inc. And this is the request asking for all the information you need on your client. So we always attach the confirmation request. Also, the letter of authority would be in there, including the certificate of completion. So it's always in there. But what we hope that the bank or any provider, they could be solicitors or debtors, do is they click login and respond. And when they click login and respond, what that basically means is they can come into the system and respond back like this. So here's ABSA, they've logged in, they've come back to you and said, hey, Auditors Inc., please can you reconfirm the full client name? Regards, ABSA confirmation team. I hope the banks are as polite as that when they send you messages. But the key thing about this, the key thing about this is that this request, because the provider has raised an exception, it does not shut down this request. The request stays open until you've completed it, until you say, yep, I've got everything back. I'm going to complete this request. And in this example, I simply turn around and go, hi, ABSA, please, I can put, hi, ABSA, I can confirm this is Copy Time Inc. Send that message, reassign, and in the dashboard that ABSA might log into, this would be what they see. They'll get an alert, let them know that you've got something back from you, and this would be your messaging. And then eventually they would have all the information, they would close it, and you would get a completed response back. And I'll show you what that looks like. But in this example, if the request that the ABSA sent you, you needed more information from your client, I could click on my client and I could start messaging my client and then send this message to my client. I could message some of your guys in your internal team, internally in your firm, if you needed some information from them. They would also receive an email letting them know there's something they need to do, and they'd log into their dashboard and respond back to you. So you can communicate back and forth. But what this looks like is when you eventually get a completed request back, let's just click on here. And if I click on one of these confirmation requests, you can see that you've got all of this history log back and forth for that request. This is when the exception was raised. This is when I responded. And this is when I click resolved. And then the resolved confirmation request is inside the system. And you've got it and you can download it. But you can see that it's complete. You could reopen the request if you needed more information. You could raise another exception if you had to. But basically, you can see all of the history here. And then obviously, if I clicked on the provider, here's all of the to and for back messaging from that provider. Right, so now I'll show you actually creating a request. Now, we talked about you can create any kind of request, and you absolutely can. In South Africa at the moment, you've got Nedbank, Capitec, Investec are responding to requests on the platform. ABSA will be joining the platform imminently. We're talking about days. So the two that we do not support currently is FNB and Standard Bank. We hope to support them soon. We're having good conversations with Standard Bank. FNB is just a bit slow in having the right conversations with us, but we absolutely will get there. We have a number of large firms on the platform who have chosen us now, and we think that with their cooperation, those other last two banks will be on the platform soon. So for bank confirmations, we've got 3 that are verified or 4 that are verified. But obviously, if it's any other bank, including banks in other countries, maybe like Lesotho or Kenya, or even outside of Africa, you can easily do that by coming into, when you come on here, you just simply click on custom providers, you click plus, you choose the bank is, so you might do Standard Bank in Uganda as an example. You put the address, then you would put the email address to the relationship manager at that bank for your client. You would choose the category, so I'd say bank. And then you would save as a custom provider. So it means next time you want to send a request, it's inside your list here. And you would click save. And then basically that would generate the request and send that request out. If the request is on if the provider is on our platform, you just simply choose the provider. You choose the request type. So let's say bank confirmation. We only require you to put in one account number or one account in here. You could put more if you want, but if you put one, the bank responds back with all of the accounts that you've got in. This is just to determine that account. You then attach the letter of authority that we've uploaded into the system. You can give the bank a timeline that you want this responded back to. Good luck with that. but we give you the option to let the bank know that this is when you would like it back. And here you can see that's now in, I suppose, draft status, ready to go. And if I click on it, it's created this bank confirmation request. If I click on it to open it up, here you go. It's put my logo in there, and it's basically saying we want this information for your specific client. Now I might say, right, I want to do a legal request. I come in here, let you put the lawyer's name on here, or the law firm's name. You choose the template. You put in the details that's required for this request. You attach your letter of authority. You can give them a deadline date and click save. And then finally, let's say you want to do, I mean, it could be anything. If I do insurance, here's an insurance request. Add my letter of authority, click save. And then finally, let's do a custom, let's do HSBC, Mauritius. I'll do a bank confirmation request, add a letter of authority, give them a deadline date as well. They're all going to love you as an auditor. And here are all of the requests drafts that I've just created. I select them all. I click send to provider, and they've all now gone out to the provider. So every question, every confirmation request that I've wanted to send out, I can send out to all of those organizations. So I've got a couple of questions in here. Can we sign up for PPC client collaboration module only? Yes, you can absolutely do that. Will you be sharing the recordings of this meeting? Yep, I believe Elle's going to be putting this online afterwards. So that is sending confirmation requests to any kind of confirmation request type, including bank. You could do this in bulk. So, I showed you adding them individually. I could come in here and do bulk requests. I can duplicate them. So we can make it very easy for you to do. You can upload and import those confirmation requests. The most important thing to remember, which I haven't explained to you about at the moment, is what we also give you is behind the scenes. We have a team that we call the chaser team. That chaser team's responsibility is to chase and follow up your requests. So we take that burden away from whoever it is within inside the firm that chases requests. So maybe it's the auditor, the partner, the audit manager, whoever it may be. We do that for you on your behalf. So we work out what that timeline should be, and it might be 7 days after you send your first request, because you typically receive confirmation requests back within 30 days, as an example. And so behind the scenes, there's a team of people that chase up all of your requests for you. And you can see the status of that in your dashboard. You can see when we've chased those requests, what the outcome is, how long it's going to be for them to respond back. So our team behind the scenes does all that work for you. What I'm going to show you now is an individual confirmation request for debtors. And we think we've really come on and provided something very, I suppose, different in the marketplace for South Africa. So I speak to a lot of firms that go, hey, we stopped doing debtors requests because we either don't get responses, or responses can take months to come back, and it's a real pain. We also speak to firms that still do debtors requests, and it's one of the most painful things that they deal with. So we've changed that, and I'll give you a great stat. So we have a firm on our platform in South Africa that sent out in February, they sent out 958 debtor requests, balance requests, basically, to 958 debtors. They got back, completed within 7 days, was the longest one that took back 958 requests. That's unheard.
That's incredible, Jason.
Yeah.
Back in articles days, I was at one of those firms that also stopped doing data certs, just simply because it wasn't worth our time. No one would respond. So if you're getting 100% hit rate, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, we typically, in a lot of markets we go in, we typically see response times of 15 to 20 days, which again, we think is really good. But to see that in 7 days. And when you look through the list of those debtor responses, a lot of those were in 1 day or 2 days. And the reason for that is we've created something that means the debtor feels engaged to do something when they receive that request, and I'll show you why. And secondly, they don't have to download anything, sign anything, print anything, upload anything. So let me show you what that looks like. So if you come into the ARAP side, I say I want to do a new request. I choose my request type, so it could be invoice request. In this request, I'm going to do an AR balance request. It pulls up, a template you'll be familiar with. What I'm going to do is just cut and paste from my spreadsheet, my sample of debtors I want to send out a request to. So let me just choose those, copy. And if I just tap on here, click paste, here you go. I've just pasted them all in. Now, what I could do is if I was missing this email address for this supplier, if I just clicked on, in fact, if I did, and I'll make this, actually, I'll do Nando's. If I was missing the company name, that doesn't make sense. Let's say it was the email address. But if it was the company name, when I come in here, I can simply come in and I can actually ask, obviously you can upload, I forgot to say you can upload in the spreadsheet, but I could turn around and come in here and I can ask specific questions. So I could ask the client for that information. And then what would happen is when I send this off, these would all go to the debtor. This one would go to the client, asking them for the information. They'd log into their dashboard and they'd be able to respond back to me with the correct information. And once it comes back to me, I open up and see it's the right information. I then just click forward and that would go out to the debtors. So if I just click create, here are the AR balance requests I want to do for these companies. All I have to do is highlight them. I'll add a letter of authority. Now, for debtors, we give you the option to send this out without a letter of authority. Some debtors don't need them, or some firms don't choose that, but I choose my letter of authority and click save. They're now prepared for providers, ready to go. And again, just to show what they look like, it creates the history. I can message my internal team if I need things. And here's the request, balance request that I'm asking for. I'll select them. I click send to provider, send, and that's now gone out. And what you'll see is what actually happens is your provider will get an email like this with all of your logos and details on. The balance request is attached in here, but what we want them to do, and this is exactly what they're doing, is we want them to respond on Circit. So if I click on that, what they're taken to is they're taken to a page where it has, again, it's your branding on. You could, in this example, put your client's logo if you feel like it gives you more a better response rate. And then as soon as I log in, I look at it and go, okay, they want me to confirm the balance. And so I can simply click on it. I can agree and say, yep, this is the balance. I can disagree and type my own amount in, but we'll put agree. I click OK. I could have typed in here if I disagreed what that is and dragged a file in here if I wanted to. And then all I simply do is my signature, which is me typing my name. Then I type in my name. And then I type my position. And then I click complete. And then once I've done that, that's it. It's done. You've got that confirmation request back from the firm. It will be a request that comes back like that with a response in it, and it will show you the timelines that you've done everything in. That is it. And from a debtor's perspective, if you think about the behavior typically is they would come into this, they receive your email, they'll see your request, they go, right, I need to go and do something, i.e. they'll have to go off and do something, get something out of file, whatever it may be. And so you start to fall down that list and they forget about it, and then you chase them a month later, and the same all your debtor requests. And then obviously, if I come into confirmation requests for everything else, I can see everything here as well. And so these are all my completed ones. Here's all the ones with providers. It's easy for me to track everything. So let's say a letter of engagement. I'll upload my letter of engagement. I can make this private before I send it out. All I simply do is I can choose the date that I want this signed. Come down to the bottom. You know who you want this signed. I want the finance director to sign this. And I need to put a date on there. Click OK. And then I simply click Save. It's now in draft up here. There's my request. I'll send it to the client. And if I log into the client, just refresh my screen. Here you can see you've got a request through. It's a little icon here. This is the letter of engagement you've just sent them. They can view that letter of engagement. Obviously, there's the date, everything that we've just put in. Obviously, the completion. Certificate of completion is always attached to this. Here was the bottom. And all I have to do is click sign. And that's done. And so once I've done that, I refresh my screen here. Here's my signed document. When it was created, when it was signed, when it was sent out. This is not the right one. I think I need to get on the one which is May. It's probably the next page down. Is it this one? May this reverse. Here you go. Signed when it sent it out, time, and then here's your signed engagement letter with all the type stamp, the certificate of completion attached, signed by the user, and everything was really easy to track in the system. So we offer you that as ability as well, and obviously you can track all your signing documents in here in the same way. The only two last things I wanted to show you on here is you have an action area where you can do things in bulk. So I'm on confirmation requests, or let's say, for argument's sake, on ARAPs, I can see that there's still 50 requests out with providers. And I can click on those. I can highlight them all. I can mark them as complete if I know they come back, or I can send them all a message and say, hey, you know, you've had this now for X number of days. Please, can you respond back to me? Same with confirmation requests of all type. You know, these could be legal and bank. If I click on them, I could highlight them all and I can message provider. It'd have to be a generic message because obviously it's going out to all of those providers, but I could say, hey, send me an update on where you are. Obviously, we have a chaser team, so, you know, we do that for you, but you can bulk create as well. So this is just where you can do everything in bulk. And then you've got some reporting tools. So if I click on reporting tools and click on management reports, I can click in, and for confirmation requests, I can see, you know, how many confirmations have gone out are still with provider, you know, the average duration for requests to come back, what's the average status that confirmation requests are in, top 10 providers, and so on and so forth. And we can also track, these reports can also track how long you've been in here doing, and this is where you download your reports, doing things for confirmation requests on behalf of your client, because maybe it's time that you want to charge your client at the end of the period. So you can track everything in here. And then the final element to this, which I suppose we believe makes it attractive, is we charge per client, so per entity versus per confirmation request. And roughly it's works out to be around about 700 rand per client per year. So if you think about what that looks like, is you can have a client that you want to do, I'll over exaggerate this, but you might have a client that wants to do 100, you need to do 100 confirmation requests for your client. 10 with 10 separate banks, 50 debtors, 2 legal, the rest for insurance. And in that bank, they might have 30 accounts as an example. We still only charge you 700 Rand per client per year. So we don't charge you per confirmation request or per institution that we're doing those requests to. We only charge you per client per year. And so that should see a big significant saving in the current way that you're doing things at the moment. And that is the demo. I've got nothing else to show you guys.
Thank you, Joe. That's a lot. This is fantastic, Jason. I've seen it all before, so that's why we said definitely yes for partnering together with Circit. But that ARAP stuff, I think, is incredible. Alone from everything else, the bank confirmations, I think that's a massive game changer for this market. The ease of use for somebody to confirm a balance. Again, back in the day, it was you used to send out a Word doc and the guys would have to print it, confirm, sign, scan it back in. When I get a Word doc or something I need to print and manually sign and confirm now, I leave it for last. And eventually it will probably just get absorbed in my email box somewhere. So thank you so much. I think there is a question for you. Does the respondent need to create a profile before replying or confirming?
No. So basically, when you send out the confirmation request, so as long as hopefully I am, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So when I'm you go into your client, and what you've done is, if you're sending a confirmation request to a provider that we've never sent a request to before. So let's say that provider is, let's say that's a law firm as an example. Debtors, obviously, when you saw the debtor responding, obviously they're just taken to a landing page that they need to respond back on. So that's nice and easy. But if you're sending it to, let's say, a new bank that no one's ever sent a request to, maybe it's a new bank in South Africa or a bank in another African country, or it's a new law firm. When you come into add new request and you do custom provider, you click on here, you put the name, you put their email address. When they send that request, the email that they send them will give them the ability to log into the platform and respond to that request, which is how we want them to do it. All they have to do is their email address that you've sent the request to will be their login, and then they've just got to create a password. Once they do that, they'll enter the system. It'll all be up and running and ready for them, so they haven't had to do anything.
Okay, so bank confirmations, if it's unsupported bank, the guys will log in. If it's ARAP, that is confirmation, then no login required.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another question. How long does bank confirmations on average take to receive back? It's a great question. I'd love to be able to give you an answer that turns, if you do it on Circit, we'll turn it around in 10 days. It will always be down to the bank. Unfortunate for me to have to say, but yeah, it's as long as they take to turn around. I mean, we hope to turn a bank confirmation around quickly. Quickly in some cases can be 45 days. Quickly in some cases can be 20 days. I mean, it's the reason why we have a chaser team, so that they can chase those requests for you. Where we start to, so we would hope with the likes of banks that are on our platform, like Nedbank, ABSA's just coming on, Investec, we'd like to see those requests get turned around really quickly, like 15 days, because we have a chaser team, they know us, and it works really well. If I look at other markets where we operate, we see average turnaround times of around 15 days. So we want to get to the same place in South Africa as well.
That'd be amazing. I think everybody's used to the banks taking their time nowadays in any case, but with the chasers team, I think that see that as a significant investment from Circit. I'm sure it's going to help there.
Yeah, lots of, as you can imagine, especially when you're starting to send lots of requests, that chaser team becomes really helpful. But even if you're a smaller firm and you're sending out requests, the fact that that's one thing you don't have to put in your to-do list and remind yourself to do something in 10 days or 20 days. We just take that pain away from you.
Eventually gets forgotten about and just doesn't go on the audit file. Yeah. Sure. There's a lot to think about. I just was chatting offline to one of our demo team that demos RAC, and they asked if we could arrange for a demo account so we can start to include this in our RAC training. And I think that'd be fantastic. See massive potential in that ARAP. I think that will certainly help all of our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ARAP for us, especially in South Africa, has been a very powerful tool. Lots of firms are really taking advantage of it because of the response times, and actually, like I mentioned, bringing it back into their audit process, evidence collection process.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Short and sweet, and a lot of powerful items. Oh, I see there's some more questions. Is this only for audit firms? No.
No, I mean, my answer would probably be yes. But if you're a firm that needs to do ARAP requests or confirmation requests, then you can absolutely use the platform. In some markets, we have accountants using it as part of their standard accounting practices where they need to confirm bank information. In other markets around the world, we connect directly into banks to pull in that transactional data. So you can pull in bank statement data. We will absolutely do that in South Africa when the banks are ready and they have APIs available. So yeah, no, as long as you have a requirement, you can be anybody.
Perfect. Retha, I hope that answers your question. Is there any integration to Draftworx, or do you need to export and add evidence in your audit file? There isn't proper integration yet. It is going to be coming down the line. So you would get the supporting documentation exported out, imported into Draftworx. The usual drag and drop into the file system, or if you're in cloud, then upload it. But we are going to work on bringing the relationship tighter together in the future, and it will be a matter of a click of a button. And I'm going to show you everybody a nice little click of a button, different feature. But as soon as we finish this session, I just want to show everybody a little update that came out on Monday. I think everybody will enjoy that. Great. Any more questions with regards to Circit? Don't see anything else. So, Jason, thank you so much for your time and all the work. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. I first heard about Circit years ago when I was visiting Ireland and talking to practices in Ireland and the UK, and they all came up with you integrating Circit. So it's wonderful to have you guys finally in South Africa now, and wish you all the best. But I don't think you need the luck. I think it's going to be a great system for everybody to use. So thank you for your time to showcase it to all of our clients. And if anybody has any questions that might come after this, please, you're welcome to send it to me. And Jason, if I can ask if I can forward on to you and your team to address any questions. So email me, it's info@draftworx.com or earl@draftworx.com, and I'll happily forward those on. This video will go up tomorrow. And yes, again, thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. Jason, thank you again. Looking forward to increasing integration.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.